Of all the groups which have made a valuable contribution to our town, none has had a greater impact on modern Berkeley Heights than the Italians, who began settling here in the post-war period. The earliest Italians arrived as masons to build homes for two very wealthy New York families. During the Panic of 1873, when these families sustained great losses, the masons were paid in land, not money. Many a young man from sunny Naples or Salerno was drawn to Berkeley Heights because of its rural nature, the possibility of farming, and the low cost of land in comparison with other places. Employment was found in Coddington's greenhouse, in the Essex Specialty Company, which made fireworks, in the brickyard, railroad, or in small businesses owned by relatives who were lucky enough to have the needed skills. Ambitious, vigorous, hard-working, and thrifty, many of these immigrants became leaders in their section of New Providence Township. And in 1899, when the township separated from the borough, they and their children, along with older residents, formed a nucleus for the government of Berkeley Heights. Italians in Berkeley Heights have always been proud of their ancestors. However, more recently, the Mount Carmel Society has initiated an annual dinner for Columbus Day in honor of this heritage.
Since the unification of Italy in 1860, more than 25 millions have emigrated from that country. And of these, at least half have settled permanently in another country. The Italian immigration to the U.S. was thus part of a much larger movement of people in search of work and bread denied them at home. While northern Italians emigrated in large numbers to northern Europe and Latin America, the predominant majority of those who came to the U.S. were from the southern regions and Sicily. For historical reasons, the Meridione, or the Mezzogiorno, or south, was more traditional, backward, and poor than the north. The contadini, or peasants, were the doormats of a still largely feudal society. Oppressed and exploited by signori, or aristocrats, and borghesi, or middle-class persons, they were despised as caponi, or boors. Illiterate, unschooled, lacking self-confidence, this peasantry was pre-industrial in culture and mentality. Obviously not a very good preparation for survival in America's urban jungle. Most of our initial data about Italians in America comes from the census of 1861. Since then, some 25 million have come to our shores, and now there remains about 16 million Americans able to claim at least one Italian grandparent. Interestingly, over half live in the areas of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and the eastern seaboard. The aim of all Italian Americans was not simply to escape from grinding misery. Rather, it was to improve their families' lot by earning money with which to buy land back in their village. Thus, most came to America not to settle permanently, but to work, save, and return with a few dollars to buy some land. Like the Chinese to whom they were compared, the Italians were sojourners, predominantly male, and youthful in character. Of the million who came, about half did indeed return to their villages in Sicily, Basilicata, and Campania. Some successful, some terribly defeated. But even those who remained in America often continued to nourish thoughts of the day that they could return to their paese, or hometown area. The persistence of this frame of mind was an important condition affecting their adjustment. Why learn English? Why become a citizen? Why Americanize if one were going back to the old country someday? In the villages of southern Italy today, one can find these Americani who, after 50 years, return to live on their Social Security benefits. The Italians provided raw manpower for the American economy. Although there were artisans among them, specializing in weaving and stone cutting and the like, the typical immigrant took up the pick and shovel. These were the legendary men who built the nation's railroads and the dams and the subways and the cities. It would be difficult to find worse examples of social exploitation than that experienced by the Italians in the decades before World War I. Driven by sadistic bosses, sometimes at gunpoint, living in boxcars and shanties, eating wretched food, killed and maimed by accidents, these immigrants labored 12 and more hours a day in all kinds of weather. Most endured this purgatory on earth so that of the $1.50 they made each day, they could save 50 cents.
10, I think. Yeah. Just before the Columbia School was finished, I went to work. And I worked 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, for $4 a day, and every other Sunday. And didn't get paid for every other Sunday. We just got paid for the 6 days, $4 a week. And I had 9 sisters. I had to go to work. See? Everybody. Every Italian family had cows for milk, and we had chickens for meat and stuff like that. We had to them days. You didn't have no stores to go to unless we went into the Orange, see? And maybe Summit once in a while. But them days we had to work. We had to work for a living in the hard way.
To them, and I would say 99.9% of the successful Italian Americans that I know got where they are today as a result of one simple formula, one simple ingredient. It consists of 2 words: hard work.
Old town when I was a kid.
Wow, it was really a small town then.
Yeah.
When did the town first start to grow? When did the businesses come in?
You mean here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we had a couple of stores in the 30s, one in the corner, and it was a saloon, and then they made a little grocery store out of it, and we had a little grocery store here where the shoemaker's not a friendly goblin. That's not where the cops are.
I saw pictures of that.
When you go upstairs,
That was a big thing in town too, to make lumber.
Used to be a sawmill in there.
Yeah, it was near the railroad station,
Right.
but across the way, yeah.
And then from the sawmill, they made that a cement block.
Here started?
Over here?
Yeah. I know, I think some of them are probably still in business now.
Well, yeah, well, where the shoemaker is, that grocery went out. Where H.R. Block was, that grocery store went out, and then they threw that building down at the corner. It used to be a saloon towards the end. That was a grocery store. Then you know Malcolm Smith, up there by the swim club, the new swim club, across the street from there, that big house? Well, that used to be a grocery store and feed store there. Oh yeah, you want a bag of oats for your horse or a bag of feed for your cows, you go there, you'd get it. And you go up there with your horse and wagon and come back with what you needed. See? I remember that. And on the avenue here in the early 12, 13, 1914, this road here, they go up and sell hay to Newark or Summit. People from Gillette cut hay in the summertime and loose, no bale hay, and they used to go by here. And I couldn't tell you, in about the 20th or something, we got lights here. And all us kids...
Street lights.
Yeah, street lights, and all us kids, we get together, you know, and get under there, wait for that light to go on so we could play when it got dark. See?
Gas lights?
Yeah, and nothing in the house, no light in the house. You had lamps. And you better make sure that lamp, you get a newspaper or an old rag and wipe that chimney out every night before it gets dark, because it was burned by kerosene, you know. And make sure you get your water in for the night, and make sure you get enough wood in for the night. And when my father came home from New Brownlands, in the cold weather, he had a mustache. It was frozen on him from breathing, you know. And he'd pull in about 6, 7 o'clock at night, and where do you think he'd go? he'd go behind the stove. If me and my sister Tressa, the one that's 80 years old now, and I'm 78, we didn't have enough wood cut up and put behind that stove for the night. We know about it. We got to get out there in the dark and put it there. And in the wintertime, 6 o'clock is dark already. So we had to get the wood in. We had to water it and feed the chickens and water the cows, and stuff, milk the cows and stuff like that, because my father leaves 6 o'clock in the morning. I left 6 o'clock in the morning, go and work at the Cotterton's greenhouse in Murray Hill. 6 o'clock in the morning, you walk up the street. There's no, the only train was there was a little after 7. And I couldn't make that one because I had to be working at 7 o'clock. So it took me an hour to walk up there through Central Avenue. You know where them nice factories are up in there? Well, we get out there where the Blue Sunoco gas station is, and down we go. But I'd be with a couple more men, And them days were rough going. Oh, they were rough going.
There was a lot of hard work to do then, but what did you do for recreation?
Recreation. Get out in the street there. There was no street anyhow, and play ball. And maybe every couple of hours a horse and wagon would go by. You move out of the way. After he went, we'd play ball again right out in the street here. All day. We didn't have to go too far to play ball. Nobody bought us out there. Well, it was grass, grass growing. Up the road we'd had a couple of cows, out there, and then we'd move them from one place to another. Then we went down the shopping center. We put up a fence there, and that was in the upper 30s, 1935 and up, until the war and World War II in the 40s. Then I made my father give up, and he retired. He had 7 cows, and these fellas all carried a cow, one apiece from there to here. And we had it rough. We had it rough. Where Cotterton's fields now, all them factories in there, we used to mow hay in there and bring it up here. But then the trucks come out and made it a little easier for us, to get around better than we could get around with a team of horses.
Can you tell me something about what perhaps family life was like then, especially in an Italian-American family? Did they bring over a lot of traditions from Italy? Were there things that you did here?
You mean the people from over there would come here?
Yeah.
From Italy?
Yeah.
Well, they were hard workers. Hard workers. I remember my father getting letters from his brothers from Italy. They say, now wait a minute, he says. Don't come. He's asking to come here. He's asking that he wants to come in this country. Look, my father says, you stay there. This is election year this year. If we get a Democratic president, don't come. You stay there. If it's a Republican president, I'll send you the money.
Why was that?
Oh, 1905, 1906, 1907. Yeah, some people didn't believe in, I'll send you the money. Oh, I want to come. The brothers, the younger ones, when they get up in the age, they want to come to this country. My Uncle Jimmy, And my father, he was a young man picking up bottles, bones. You've heard of them.
Yes.
And what do you get? Maybe you get 25 cents for 100 bottles and 25 cents for 100 pound of bones them days. Who gonna throw rags away in clothes? Where you gonna get them? So you had to pick bones and bottles. And he went along with that. Then he went to work. He did a little of everything. Oh, my father was a go-getter. No sewers, nothing. When we first moved here, all we had here was 4 rooms. 2 upstairs and 2 downstairs. Now we got living rooms. We added to the house. And I worked, and then I came here to a firework factory. They call that the Essex Specialty Company. Used to make fireworks. And we used to, every once in a while we had a fire there. But as far as the town, We didn't have that many houses here on Springfield Avenue here. And I could put in your name. We had the old schoolhouse.
And then the
we
Mount
had
Carmel Hall.
Mount Carmel Hall. And what they
With the
call
library.
that hall up here in...
Where was the first fairs that they used to have? Right behind the library? Or up by
no,
Mulholland?
Venezia's. That's Passaic Avenue.
Right.
Right on the side of the street on Passaic Avenue.
And then they used to have fireworks in the fair all at one time.
Yeah,
That
that
was-
time there, yeah.
That was
we
about
had-
60 years ago. It was before
Yeah,
longer
then
than
from
50.
From there, we came over here, where the Berkeley hardware store is.
Now you shoot fireworks
And we
right there?
shoot them on Plainfield Avenue in
Really?
the ditch there.
Yeah.
With a big ditch in it.
Right.
Then from there, we went to Columbia, we went to,
Mulholland.
no,